Good morning / afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. My name's Evo, and I'm going to be talking to you about my experience of going to university. So just to give you a little bit of context, I was always a maths and physics person at school. So when the time came, I decided I was going to do an engineering degree because it was kind of a mix of the things that I was the best at school. I got into a university called Bath to do mechanical engineering, and to be honest with you, I never really considered, at that point I'd never really considered anything other than going to university. I always thought I was going to finish school and then go straight into university. I didn't consider doing a gap year or going out and getting a job or doing an apprenticeship or anything of that nature. So I got into university, and to be completely honest with you, for the first 2 years, I did not enjoy it. I just wasn't happy. I didn't necessarily realize that at the time because I didn't realize this was something that I was supposed to be enjoying. I just thought it's something that I'm supposed to do in order to go and get a job later. I wasn't happy, but I didn't really question that. I thought that was just normal. And after those first 2 years was when I did an internship. So I did like a sandwich degree where you do 2 years of studying and then 1 year in industry and then another 2 years of studying. And that placement was when things really changed for me. I managed to get into a company called Rolls-Royce, which designs and manufactures aerospace engine components. And for the first 2 months, it was super exciting. It was completely new. It was my first time in a corporate job, my first time working in a team, my first time doing my kind of projects that I was assigned to. And those first couple of months were really exciting. But then once the novelty wore off, I realized that I was not enjoying this. In summary, it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't something that I enjoyed, and I realized that. And that's the point where I started to make some changes, because if I were to continue going down this path, then I knew that I would have to get a job and work for the next 30, 40 years in an industry which I wasn't enjoying, and doing things that I wasn't enjoying. So I was going to have to proactively make some kind of change. And what I started to do was I started to try as many new things as possible to try and figure out exactly what I enjoy. So I was never someone who had something that I was extremely passionate about, like some people are extremely passionate about singing or acting or playing football or playing the guitar or something like that. I was always, there were always things that I was interested in, but nothing that I was like really, really passionate about. So in that year of my internship, once I realized I'm going to have to figure something else out, I started doing as many new things as possible to try and figure out something that I was passionate about. And I did things like I joined a salsa dancing lesson during that year. I also joined 10 different societies when I went back to uni the following year. And luckily a breakthrough came through one of those societies. It was a society called Enactus, which was a social entrepreneurship society where students essentially create and run social projects. And so I got involved in some really interesting projects through that. And then the next year I applied to be the president of that society, and I managed to get it. And that's where things really started taking shape for me. It was my first experience of what it would be like to run my own business. At the time I was leading a team of around 60 to 80 students. We had 6 different projects that we were doing. And it was really fun. It was really exciting. It was it was exciting being part of a team. It was exciting to set the direction for that team. It was exciting watching people come up with these ideas for new projects. It was a really fun time of my life, and even though I was still doing my course alongside that, I realized that this was the point in my life which I actually was the happiest. And from that point, I came to a realization that I don't want to go out and get a job after university or pursue a career. What I really wanted to do was run my own business. And I didn't know at that time exactly what that business was going to be. But I knew that was going to be my ultimate goal. And so what I've been doing after I graduated from university was I went traveling, because it's something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. And when I came back, I started working in a coffee shop, and I started saving money. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know that when I have a bunch of money saved up and I have an idea for a business that I want to start, then I'm going to be able to do that. So that's where I am at the moment. I went to university. I realised that I don't want to be an engineer. And then I spent the next 2 years figuring out what I did want to do. Figured out that I want to run my own business. And then now I'm saving money so that when the right opportunity comes, I can either buy a business or I can either set up my own. And so just a few final thoughts about university. I would say that if you're going to university because you genuinely think that's what is going to make you happy and you're excited for your course, then I think that's wonderful and you should keep going down that route. If you're like me and you haven't really thought about it and you haven't and you're only going to university because you think that's what you're supposed to do, I promise you there's a lot of better options out there for you. And maybe you still decide to go to university while you figure those out. There's no problem with that. But I would say really try to be thoughtful about what it is you really want to do. And the last thing I would say is, if you don't feel it's right to make a commitment to do a 3-4 year degree based on something that you think you're probably not going to enjoy, then I would say don't rush into that decision, because I promise you university is always going to be there. If you go out and get a job for 2 years and you decide that actually you do want to go to university, it's always going to be an option. Good luck, and if you have any questions for me, do feel free to get in touch.